A step-by-step instruction for awakening, which I describe in my book, is based on the idea of triune brain. Basically, the idea of a brain consisting of three parts. And what I focus on is the role of a reptile, of the brain of a reptile in this whole system. And my main point is to prove to you that reptiles are not enemies. The reptile is not your enemy, neither outside nor the inner reptile. And the purpose of this part of you is to ensure your survival. So in the book, I describe this system, how it works, and what is the role of a reptile in this whole thing. Once you understand it, you will understand how important it is to just become friends with this part of yourself. And the idea of a triune brain is basically saying that our brain consists of three parts. At the very bottom of the brain, there is the brain of a reptile. It's the oldest and the most ancient part of our brain, which we have in common with all the reptiles on this planet. The second part is the brain of a mammal. And the third part is the brain of a human, let's say. That's the most recently developed part of our brain, and it is responsible for all the higher functions, which we consider to be human abilities. And the key moment here is that the reptile, which sits at the very bottom of this brain, is actually the one who is responsible for the distribution of energy, distribution of electricity, let's say, because like without electricity the brain functions are not gonna work, and the reptile is the one who decides which function to sponsor, like how much electricity to give to which part of the brain. And if we understand the logic by which reptile is making its decisions, we will gain ability to use our brain capacity much better and much more fully. And so the logic of the reptile is that its main task here is to ensure our survival, ensure survival of the body. And reptile is really good with that. So the sensitivity of a snake is well known to be the snakes are well known to be the most sensitive animal that exists on the planet, and it's really able to scan the vibrations at very long distance without using any additional information, like no hearing, no seeing, no observing of the territory, just by scanning the vibrational signals from the surrounding. A snake is able to clearly determine who is there, what is happening, and how dangerous is this place or environment. So the level of sensitivity of a snake is extraordinary, and we do have access to that sensitivity due to having that part in our brains. So instead of fighting with reptiles and fighting with the animal nature in ourselves, I suggest that we just explore it and understand its logic, and try to understand like how to be friends with that part of ourselves. Once we know that it's not fighting against us, it's actually working with us, and it's actually doing its best to ensure our survival. The only thing is that that little part of the brain, that little reptile, sits at the very bottom of the brain in that deep dark space, having no access to any visual or any information from the outside. So basically the reptile has no idea what world are we currently living in. Is it as dangerous as it was like million years ago, when there was a danger to be caught by some tiger, or like how safe is this environment? The reptile has no idea, because in fact there's not much danger for us in our daily lives today, like at least no tigers running on the street usually. So the reptile knows nothing about that. It's focused on its only task to ensure our survival, ensure survival of this body. So it's just working on that. And its position at the very bottom, at the entrance to the brain, gives it a chance to be in control of the energy resources, of all the electricity, for example, that our body generates. When this electricity is gathered all throughout the body and brought to the brain in order to sponsor some higher intellectual functions of the brain. When this energy comes, just approaches the brain, at the very entrance of the brain, at the gate, there is a reptile standing. And the reptile is the one who is going to decide, like, do we give energy to the upper parts, and which parts will we sponsor energetically? That's the decision of a reptile. Once you understand that, that might help you understand why it might be difficult for you to work and live to your full potential, where you feel like you are capable of much more, but somehow you're just sabotaging yourself, or you're not moving at the speed that you are aware that you are capable of. So that reptile is not an enemy which blocks your evolution or your progress or your development. It is simply busy, very busy, ensuring your survival. And how to work with this whole thing, how to work with this reptile, that's actually what I teach. That's actually what I wrote the book about, to better understand the logic of the reptile, and to understand like how to work with it together, like make it work like more like a teamwork, instead of fighting with yourself and fighting with your impulses and fighting with your inclinations and so on. So the reptile is focused on survival, and it gathers energy from the body and decides like how to distribute it. So the logic of the reptile is very simple. It is binary. It's not very, like, let's say, not very intelligent, let's say. It's very sensitive, because like it's able to determine things that are like what people like to call extrasensory abilities, or like considering that it's something like a gift coming from above. In fact, extrasensory abilities is a natural ability of the physical body, and that is part of the reptile in you. So nothing extraordinary actually in those extrasensory abilities. We have that installed, that ability already installed in this physical body. It's just a task for us to learn how to use it properly and how to understand how it works. So the reptile has the goal to ensure your survival. The reptile is the one who decides how resources will be distributed and which part of the brain will be activated, and which part of the brain will receive electricity for its work, let's say. And the main source of information for the reptile is scanning of the signals that come like from the body, like all the signals from the nerves all around your whole body, on the surface and inside, all the nerves which constantly collect information, and they send those signals up, like through the spine, up to the brain. And at the gate, the reptile evaluates the signals to determine, is it dangerous right now? The environment for you is dangerous right now or not? Is it time to rest or run or escape or attack? So brain of the reptile is binary. It has only two functions, black and white, stop or run, or stop or attack. It only has like these two options. It doesn't have like big imagination on options and it only determines, is it safe or not safe? Is it safe or not safe? It has only these two options. So that's where we come with the logic of dividing all the world into good and bad, black and white, good and evil, and so on and so on. That binary logic is actually logic of a reptile, because like that's like it needs to simplify things because it has a very simple task to ensure survival of the body. So like it has no time for all this like complicated structures and imagination, all that. Its task is simple. Are we going to survive or not? So binary logic, all the equations that reptile deals with are binary. Yes or no? Yes or no? So rest or run. So how does that, like, what makes the reptile like turn this way or that way? Like basically, if right now you're sitting in like while you're watching this video, if any of the muscles of your body are tense, for example, like shoulders or your belly, maybe your abs, if any muscles are tense, that tissue is sending a signal about like tension being present in the body. That signal about tension in the body helps the reptile to determine, like, out of these two options, is it most likely time to relax or is it most likely time to prepare for an attack, prepare for a fight. So if any information, any signals that a reptile receives, say, talk about tension, this equation is being solved towards, like, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Dangerous. Not time to send any electricity to the creative parts of our brain. It's not time for that. We are busy with survival right now. We need to focus, and a tiger can attack any minute. So what the reptile does, all the electricity that it has been gathered throughout the body that comes to the entrance of the brain, the reptile sends it back to the body. Sends it back to the body because, like, no time to sponsor brain. We are sponsoring legs because we're gonna need to run soon. So the more tension signals the reptile receives, the more electricity it sends back. So the more tense we are, the more tense we're gonna be, because the reptile is sending signals downstairs to tell the body to prepare, to get ready, to get tense, so that we can run any moment now. So that's basically the main purpose of meditation, or giving yourself at least a few minutes per day where you can just focus, just relax, just take a few minutes where you focus on your breath, for example, and relax your body fully, at least for a few minutes per day. That's where you notice that incredible realizations or insights come in that little period of relaxation. It's not the magical effect of meditation. It's just simply in those few minutes when your whole body was relaxed and you had no brain activity, no stressful thoughts for at least few minutes, and nothing that was giving you a reason to feel tense in the body. So you relax for a few minutes, and in those few minutes the reptile finally assumes that we're safe. It scans the body and there is no tension, so we're in a safe environment right now. So the electricity that has been gathered throughout the body in that moment is being sent up to the upper parts of the brain, where you finally get some answers or realizations or insights or whatever, simply because that part of the brain received electricity for a few minutes at least. So the whole key of my method is to learn the logic of the reptile, so that we can like work together with this part. Like we have no goal to switch it off, because like that's the part which we fully rely on for our survival. It's good, it should be working, just we should learn how to stop sending wrong signals to the poor little thing, so that we have more times of that free, empty moments that we receive only during meditation, so that we are more of the time we are in that state where the reptile feels safe. When the reptile feels safe, we then get electricity to the upper parts of the body, of the brain, where all our creative abilities and all the access to higher information and everything, all the wonderful and stuff is located. All our capacity is there, and all we need is to learn how to ensure that that part of our brain receives electricity, or like any support from the body. So that's the point of the book, is to help you understand the logic of the reptile and how to become friends with this part of yourself, and so that you can use it properly, and so that you can work with it as a team. And that's a long work, but I try to describe it step by step in my book, and this is at least a brief description like of what it's all about. I hope you'll be interested to take a look, and I hope it helps you. See you again.